Well, hello everyone. Today is July 30th, Tuesday, 6 o'clock, and this is Ask the Doctor Anything. I'm Dr. Ellithorpe, and this is Tustin Longevity Center. And we do this once a week. We do this as an educational service for our patients, family, and friends. We are functional doctors, family practice, general practice, uh, GYN, naturopathic physician assistants, and we're all interested in trying to uh, forward the issue about answering questions about prevention and what practically really works when you're seeing a functional doctor. I've been doing this 43 years, and I'm very happy with all the young doctors and middle-aged doctors who are finally, looking at physiology and carbs and carnivore and exercise and energy medicine and all these things. It's wonderful to see this explosion of looking to natural ways and reserving our allopathic medical training, our standard medical school training, to the rightful and much more rarer use of prescription medicines, surgeries, even I think we are way too often doing imaging and x-rays and things like that. So we're trying to let you know how fearfully and wonderfully you're made, and how choosing a lifestyle that is healthy is going to buy you a boatload of health and freedom and mobility and agility to do your work and to serve your uh, family. And hopefully, in my case, I do this to serve my creator. I'm on active duty every morning to serve my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And I see this as a way to stay well, to help my husband, my family, my grandchildren, and my fellow man. And so it becomes much easier to do what is healthful when you're seeing your body as not really owned by yourself, but owned by God. I, as a biblical worldview person, I see the scriptures that say we were bought with a price. Redemption means to buy something back that was in bondage or lost. So I've been bought back, and I really don't own myself. I'm owned by my Lord and Savior. So when I think about using this body He gave me, I think about really that He is present, and His Spirit is watching me all the time. And it helps me to be mindful that my choices do impact my ability to serve Him. And with a mindset like that, it takes it off of my personal worries and concerns and keeps it more focused onto His service and the service of His wonderful creation. Therefore, as a American born and living, my domicile here is in the United States. I am loyal to my constitutional republic of the United States of America, former active duty. And it does say we are endowed by our Creator with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And when I think of things like I have these liberties, remember our forefathers said these republic constitutional convention was designed, and this type of constitution designed as a republic was meant for a moral people. It's totally inadequate, John Adams said, for anything other than a moral people. And when you look at the people who largely created this nation, they were escaping persecution, religious persecution, and they wanted to pursue their service to their Lord, like I'm talking about pursuing my service. But again, we therefore take personal responsibility to self-govern ourselves and keep our mindset that we are our brother's keeper. which is biblically taught in the first book of the Bible in Genesis and all the way throughout. And what does this have to do with health? Benjamin Rush was one of the co-signers of the Declaration of Independence, and he said he wanted another amendment, and that was for medical freedom. He did not want anything to impinge on the practice of one human being trying to serve another, as long as you did no harm, and to not regulate it. Unfortunately, that was not done. And unfortunately, today, one of the risks that we're facing in our healthcare system is medical tyranny. We have all heard about this bird flu, and we've all gone through the lockdown and loss of liberties. Maybe some of us lost our job, some income, lost family members over arguments about should we wear a mask. Later, that was proven, and we always knew it, that there was no need for a mask, whether we should be locked down or segregated, you might say. And I always knew you never quarantine the healthy. And so we went through this terrible thing because of law imposed administratively, and we're motivated by fear. Many times I see my patients come to me and they are in fear. They're in fear of their health. They don't want to die. They're afraid of death. And of course, being from a biblical world point of view, I have no fear of death, because very often when they walk in the door, they'll say, "How are you doing, Dr. Ellithorpe?" And I'll say, "I'm eternal. I don't have any concerns." And that's how I'm doing. I'm doing eternally. and it relieves me from undue worry about myself. Of course, now I'm in my 70s. What is the average age of a woman, at least in a first world country? Maybe at best 83. So I have 12 more years. And should I live in fear of everything? I can't. I can't afford to do that. There's too many people in my life, and I have to just come to a resolution about how will I live this life to achieve the best outcome until I transist into my eternal house in the presence of the Lord. So this kind of confidence only comes from studying, and I study both medicine and the Word of God equally. I have read the Bible cover to cover countless times. I only use the King James Version, not that I don't check other versions. And I get great peace, and that great peace and confidence helps with my cortisol. My cortisol level is very well managed so that it doesn't depress my immune system. It doesn't put me into a catabolic breakdown state. It helps give me good night's sleep with that kind of peace, so I can repair myself very, very well at night. I do, in fact, think of my Lord before I go to bed, and I just entrust myself to Him. And then with my personal relationships, I think of my state of knowledge of the Word of God, and how even in the Word it says that you really have to love God more than you love your own spouse or parent or wife or husband or children. That's very hard for me, a woman, to say I would love God more than my own children. But indeed, that is in fact what is required, because if He's King of Kings and Lord of Lords, I am His servant, and I am to respect Him with that much trust and esteem. So I worry very, very much more about how I deal with Him around other people. And I have a lot of work to do. I've been growing over 70 years on how to control myself more and more and more in my behavior. I've never arrived. No one's ever perfect. But having peace with my relationships, whether they feed me, if I think I should get enough love, or I think I should get enough recognition, or whatever it is we want out of a relationship, I don't have to worry about that at all, because I have complete knowledge and peace of my love and my relationship with my Lord. So the biblical worldview provides to the Christian such a state of peace and release to be opened up for service to others. And it is a very healthy thing. In fact, there are countless psychological and psychiatric research studies that the married person lives longer, the person who has a religious practice lives longer, a person who is involved in a religious activity. And I'm not even saying just a Protestant or Catholic, it could be Jewish, it could be another um, um, belief system, but they're dedicated to it and to the people they're giving themselves into. This kind of spiritual aspect is life extending. So I want to say that as we do these questions and we answer your questions, our thought is that we want to let people understand that I'm always going to fall back to my personal responsibility in our life. I'm going to talk about some of the reasonableness of certain supplements or certain healthcare practices that are very valuable. Um, but that ultimately you have to take that peace and that time to come to grips with why you're here, who you're here uh, uh, for. And from a Christian point of, I really feel it's settled for me at least, in that it says very clearly we were created for His pleasure. Just like I had children, I created them for pleasure. Really, I just wanted to know what it was like to see a baby born of myself and to hold that child in my hands and watch them grow up. And it was for my pleasure, just like God said we were created for His pleasure. And then the His will for us, of course, like any parent, you would hope your child would obey you. So it isn't complex, it isn't hard. And that's why reading for me the Bible, as much as I have read science and studied science all these decades, it's very clear to me that if you read and you look, the answers are there. A lot of times I don't get all the answers, but I get peace about knowing every time I read through the Bible cover to cover, I get grounded more and more and have understanding about some of those things I didn't understand well. And I have more peace about it. Anyway, so that's how we talk um, uh, about the whole health, your spiritual health, your physical health, your emotional or soulish mental health. All these things come into play. Um, and a doctor today that's going to do functional medicine cannot leave out the emotional, spiritual, mind part of it, besides the body and the biochemistry. So that's why when I say this is for educational purposes, I like to be transparent, let you know where I'm coming from. I'm from a biblical worldview and why it gives me that peace. And I'm not trying to argue that I'm going to prove anything. I'm just telling you where I get it and how important it is to me. But it does help me to understand how important you are, and that's why we do this. We do this to help each of you understand how important you are and your questions and how they would fit into all these aspects of functional medicine and how to help you. And probably the biggest challenge, at least here in America right now, is the dealing with what we think we should reward ourselves with eating. We are constantly thinking about, what will I have for dinner now? Will I choose one thing or another, and then you come with thoughts of, oh, but this would taste better, or I deserve that, or this is more enticing to me. I want to reward myself. When you have a whole industry that's working on marketing on that very aspect of your mind and the dopamine receptors for reward in your brain, they're trying to pump and pimp you to purchasing and designing foods and experiences that will make you repetitiously do things over and over again, much like a lab animal that's taught to do certain things. And of course, the sugar, fruit sugar, starches are a huge component. And then we can understand the physiologic reasons why the insulin trigger from the carbohydrates are never satisfying. So you'll have a surge and then a crash, and then you'll desire another surge and a crash through the sugar chasing insulin all the time. So it's so damaging to our bodies, to our immune system, to our cardiovascular system, to our joints with weight gain, to potential issues with even stimulating tumor growth from the insulin. That we have to understand when you tell someone, or I ask someone to please reduce their sugar, starch, or to take a day of fasting, or to do intermittent fasting, or to move more carnivore or keto. I'm dealing with very deep emotional learned behaviors that are associated with my patient's sense of self-worth, and eating is such a integral component. The taste, the gustatory smell, the appearance, the surroundings of the delivery of this to your mouth becomes such a desirable thing. It's perfectly marketed and manipulated. So we have to see, much like alcohol is an addiction, in many people, they cannot handle this. Carbohydrates, sugars, fruit sugars, starches are an addiction, and they produce very, very similar patterns of binging and liver damage through the fructose in the liver acts like alcohol is a toxin. And so you have to understand, doing functional medicine, being a primary or a internal family practice kind of entry point, we kind of doctors are doing everything. We're not specialized in one part of your body. And we're trying to prevent that 85% of chronic metabolic disease, which is really lifestyle, diet oriented. Because the more your moods go up and down, the more you can have depressed moods and sit more, stare at video screens more, blue light irritation of your circadian rhythm through your pineal gland. I mean, we could go forever on rabbit holes. So determining your value and how important you are, and that it's worth caring for yourself, starts a pattern where you're saying no, you're putting boundaries up, and you're putting in reasons for why you're here. I do my workout, like I'm in my workout clothes. I'm going to go and do weightlifting after this. And that's also because my little grandson, in order to lift him up, I need to be strong into my 70s and 80s, and for my older grandsons as well. So you have to find your reason. I find it in my faith and so forth. So I'm opening this up today because I had an extraordinary amount of patients this week that came in to me with this conundrum of fear of their health. Why? What's the point of doing anything right? And I really had to help them discover within themselves how truly unique they are, and we all are, and valuable we all are, and to move from that point. So I wanted to open up with that. And the very important thing is that this is for educational purposes. These are all my opinions. I'm not speaking for all the 6 healthcare providers necessarily here. or any of the staff, but this is my open, transparent heart, and in teaching of what 43 years has shown me. And I hope people who want to become doctors and really care, anyone in the healthcare system, how very valuable it is for us to try our best as human beings to treat each other with respect and uh, try and have that openness to allow them to talk about it. I know we're all on schedules, but it becomes a challenge. Anyway, so if you're interested in asking questions about functional medicine, supplementations, anything you want, I, as a general practitioner, will try and answer any question. I don't have all the answers, but I'll certainly give my best guess or how I would approach it. So when I get these questions, like if you do the email questions on our website, tlcdoctors.com, you will get on our newsletter. And then when that notification of this coming up, audio video is coming up, then you will see a link there. And on that link, you can type in these questions that I get as well. Then there's also the YouTube for the live. I like to defer to our live audience first on the YouTube in the chat. And so we'll start there today. It looks like Dolores is saying, "Hi, Dr. Rita. My son woke up with his eye red. I'm guessing it's from stress. Is Argentin 23 good to spray in his eyes?" The answer is yes. What do you recommend? I appreciate all you do. God bless. Thank you, Dolores. Well, there could be allergies for which DHIS, the quercetin-rich antihistamines, would be helpful. And that's a capsule that you take. You would load with, I don't know how old your son is, but if he's an adult, then you would take 8 for the first day, 6 the next, 4 the next, and then I would stay on 4 to 2 every day. I need about 3 a day to keep all my allergies under control. Otherwise, I can get itchy red eyes. If it's one eye, then it's probably not allergies. It's probably viral, more likely. And that can be the conjunctivitis that is viral. And that's where the antiviral benefits of Argentin silver is at. And you could just constantly spray it with your eyes open, blinking, dozens of times during the day to do that. You could take a high dose vitamin C IV here. You could take the oral vitamin C capsules. I usually, for any viral illness, I say take a 5 to 750 milligram capsule every half hour until you're feeling better. So that might be, 12 capsules later on, 6 hours later, something like that. So the vitamin C orally or IV or both. The Argentin silver, if it's the allergies, the quercetin capsules, and have your vitamin D level and your zinc level up. So those are things that I would look to for self-management. Of course, trauma, you could have scratched your eye accidentally, rubbing it or injured it, a dust particle. If maybe they forgot a contact and the contact has slipped in that eye into the back part. Of course, if it doesn't improve within 24 to 48 hours, you have to have that checked out by a doctor. Okay, Brett says, "Hey sis, have you read the book Super Gut?" No. Thoughts, let's see. Thoughts on most important probiotic strains, especially for mood energy. Reuteri. Also, I was thinking of making my own yogurt using Reuteri and other strains. There are so many articles, Brent, out there about strains of probiotics, and they're numbered and alphabetized. So you could have Reuteri, and you could have Reuteri A1, Reuteri A1B. You could have all of these. And then you could have hundreds of others, thousands, and there are trillions in your gut. So one researcher might be working on a certain strain and getting very good benefits. another researcher in another part of the world will be getting other benefits. The microbiome and the environment you're living in impacts your gut. And I think that's why we're seeing so many various reports starting to come in now on trying to hone in on certain bacterial strains in our gut that are very beneficial for the immune system, for the mood. Remember, your vagus nerve comes down, your 10th nerve, all the way down into your gut. And you can actually have neurotransmitters made more in your gut from proper digestion with the help of these good bacteria, and that will be giving feedback into your brain. So yes, your second mind is in your gut, you might say. Your second brain is in your gut. So yes, you make neurotransmitters in your gut, and yes, that means healthy amino acid and protein intake is very important, plus fats, and because your brain is mostly made of fat and that of cholesterol. So all this talk about fear of eating cholesterol is ridiculous. Now the other thing is Reuteri, Reuteri, the most important. I can't say that because in all the years, and I've done teaching on this for many years, there are multiple strains. So what do I personally do? We have a complete digestive stool analysis, which has led the scene since the 1980s. I think Dr. Levine at Great Smokies Medical Center, he was a naturopathic physician, I believe. When I started to work there, he had created the complete digestive stool analysis. And John Wilson, who was the owner of the clinic, said that, I was kind of replacing after Levine left. And Levine created this massively wonderful complete digestive stool analysis that was ignored for decades and decades and decades until of late. Just doctors like myself, John Wilson, Whitaker Wellness, Schlessenberg, many other greats in the John Wright up in Washington State, Klinghardt, all these guys knew that the gut was extremely important and taught from Eastern ancient medicine. Health begins in the gut, and that's blood type and digestive enzymes, and that's the phospholipids for healing the lining of the gut. And they started culturing this out and learning more. And then when the PCR test was discovered, and Kelly, what was his name, who developed it, got the Nobel Prize for it. He helped speed it up because we were able to do PCR testing of these various strains and start getting these trees of genomes and variations. So I personally take a probiotic called Orthosport IG. And this keeps some of these more as a spore that go through, like in the soil that's outside. And then I take orthobiotic 100s, which are more of the kind like you would find in yogurts and lactobacillus, those kind of strains, bifidobacteria. Interesting, the studies done by a lady doctor in Ventura, California. I can't remember her name offhand, but she wrote the book, Let's Talk SH apostrophe T. And that's the name of the book, Let's Talk SH apostrophe T. And she found that people who had been told they had the COVID, their bifidobacteria level was extremely low. And then when they got well, it came back up. Same with many other serious chronic diseases. So there's so much to learn here, Brent. I can't tell you for sure which is best. If you do a complete digestive stool analysis, maybe once a year, you can look at what you're doing yourself. You can then get this great stool study done, and then you can get some feedback to yourself about what you think you want to do. And that's what I'm trying to do. And Dolores said, yes, it's one eye in her son, and he is 51. So that is probably either trauma or allergies. Hopefully he didn't lose the contact in that eye or scratch it in the night. Yeah. Beth says, good evening, doctor. I would like your opinion regarding Hashimoto's thyroiditis support and also best way to detox from mold mycotoxins. I don't know that I'm a specialist in any one area to claim that I know the best for mold or any one item. Maybe if there's anything, it's heavy metal detox because I'm so well groomed in that. But probably for thyroiditis, some autoantibody to attack your thyroid gland is a result of what we consider the leaky gut, the irritable bowel syndrome that turns into like a colitis or ulcerative colitis, Crohn's type, which would be the worst autoimmune phenomena. And the thyroid is often what is attacked. Second comment to that would be joint cartilage and rheumatoid arthritis. And a distant remote one would be the MS and the ankylosing spondylitis, transverse myelitis, those kind of things. I think what you need to do if you have this is to see a good functional doctor and then get a complete digestive stool analysis to look at your digestion and your gut health, looking for inflammation, good healthy bacteria versus bad bacteria, yeast overgrowth, all these kind of things. But then get the immunofood IgG test, which looks for your reaction to even good foods. So you might find that you have 25 foods you're making antibodies to, and that could be corn, it could be carrots, it could be meat, it could be wheat, it could be barley, it could be beans, legumes, shrimp. It could be all kinds of various things. And so what we generally teach our patients here, and this is what I do, we go on a carnivore diet, strict. We don't make any excuses. And we do it for 3 months to give the entire lining of the gastrointestinal system 3 months to heal. Of course, we follow you up in the midst of that and we review it with you. And usually, I always see the IgG antibodies for thyroglobulin and thyroid peroxidase antibodies go down without a doubt, hands down. I speed it up by asking them to do the carnivore diet completely, and I give them the phospholipid powder with the SBI Protect powder and probiotics. So there's layers to doing this, or you can do it all. That's how we do it, and that's how we approach mold the same way. There's mold remediation, however. If you're concerned about mold, you have to look for exposure to water damage where you've lived or where you work. And then you have to remediate that and get rid of that because those mold toxins and spores will just constantly aggravate you. So those are our approaches, Beth, to this. And they always work. They never fail. You certainly are better off and healthier if it doesn't get completely rid of it. Maybe you can find someone who can do some very special testing on other things like Lyme, Babesia, mold, Bartonella, all these other more esoteric things and other mold strains. But you can start right away today with a complete carnivore diet and then get all the moldy plants and stuff out of your environment, and then have someone check your workplace and where you live at for that. Same goes for electromagnetic energy waves. Don't sleep with your phone next to you. Don't wear these Apple watches that surveil you at night with electromagnetic energy. Get rid of all that foolish stuff. Make sure the head of your bed is away from any dense electrical activity on the outside of the wall or a smart meter or things like that. Make sure that that's handled. So you can look up internet places about smart meter and EMF detectors, and there are companies that will come over to your house or your apartment and look at that for you. That's important as well. Heavy metal detox is important, chelation. So there's all kinds of various things. Then we get to Carolyn says, flown. I don't know what you mean by that, Carolyn. Brett goes on, super helpful. Thank you so much. Okay. Next one, truth through the Bible. Okay. I'm low on hemoglobin besides beet juice. What vitamins can I take to naturally help myself? Well, I'm not necessarily convinced that beet juice is the right thing either. And I would say, um, you need to know your blood type. If you're a blood type A, you have to use digestive enzymes to help yourself digest the proteins and fats so that you can construct and make your ferritin, ferrous, ferric ions, Fe2 to Fe3, these conversions on your hemoglobin molecule for carrying oxygen. You need to eat the red meat. You need to eat maybe some organ meat. Find out your blood type. If you're older, all of us with age, we don't digest as well and we need digestive enzyme. I'm a B, but when I was probably 60 at least, I had to start using digestive enzymes a lot more to digest my food. So those are the directions I would head there. She goes on to ask, my hemoglobin is 7.8 and I'm taking vitamin C, 20,000 units of D with K2. Well, we have a vitamin called Hemavite. It's a herbal-based concentrate of iron, but I still think it's better to eat meat with orthodigestzyme. But you could take Hemavite if you're having trouble with anemia. But there are many causes for this. So you have to see your doctor to make sure we're just dealing with garden variety iron deficiency. You have to make sure that you don't have an ulcer or inflammatory bowel or other disorders that can create an anemia. But please see your local doctor and check your causes for that and get some Hemavite, 2 of those 3 times a day with your meals. That would be beneficial for a good iron supplementation. Vitamin C is very helpful. It will help with the uh, redox of the iron level, but I would keep that up. Carolyn says, friends that have been flown lately have contacted COVID. Besides eating healthy, how can we prevent? I don't know that I believe that there is a thing called COVID. I don't believe in the PCR testing. They were over running the cycles to 40 and 35. So I think people are getting viruses. People are getting stressed. People are getting low on their vitamin D. People are low in vitamin C. People are low in zinc. People are high in sugar that depresses the immune system. People are high in being seated too long. We have way too many people who don't exercise and they sit too long. People are in front of their computers too long. And so all these immunosuppressive activities, plus fear, the cortisol, the stress in all of us. So I think this is having more to do with what's going on than people trying to put a label on it. They've never cultured COVID. It is non-existent to culture it. So give me a break. I don't know that I'm convinced that it ever was anything more than the flu went away and we called it COVID one year for some reason. I recommend maybe we never have elections, and that way we'll never have pandemic viral illnesses that show up during election years for federal elections. Maybe that's the solution. All right. Rosa says, my mother did not finish her phospholipids before passing. Can I finish them? Absolutely. I'm 72-year-old, blood type B, am fasting for 20 hours. If I take phospholipids during those 20 hours, will I break my fast? Yes, you will. So those phospholipids are meant, it's not going to be any big, horrible fast. There's really, let me just take a look here. The carbohydrate content in the phospholipids is 3 grams. So it's minuscule, but it's a breaking of the fast. But you can use it before you eat during your 4-hour window of eating, and that would be very wise to do. So I wouldn't worry about it. Yeah. All right. Now, uh, let me get to some of these questions on the email. John says, hormones supposedly exist even in organic meat products, in addition to organic eggs, butter, and dairy in general. Considering this, are you concerned about your being on such a high percentage of carnivore eating plan? Not at all. People have been eating this for thousands of years, at least, 5,000 years. No, it's not a problem. And I check my estradiol level, my progesterone, my testosterone, my DHEA, my cortisol, my insulin, and I'm wearing a glucose monitor once in a while just to check myself. And my problem on the glucose monitor is they set this thing up so that if you fall below 55 on your blood sugar, an alarm goes off like you're in some risk for dying or something from low blood sugar. And I live between the 50s and 100, so I'm being awakened in the middle of the night with alarms going off when this is my normal range, because I haven't abused my body with a huge amount of carbs, starch, and sugars and everything. So it's funny how they set their range from, I think it's 80 to 180 as normal. And I think anything above 120 is abnormal. So there you have it. Check yourself and eat like people have done for 5,000 years, and you'll be fine. And I do check my hormones, and no, I'm not worried about it. John says, even organic meat, including eggs, butter, that's a duplicate. Yeah, so that's a repeat. Leah says, is it good to take glutathione while doing chelation? There aren't any studies. There will never be any studies unless we get medicine out of oligarchical control of a clique of pharmaceutical and regulatory administrative bureaucrats who don't give a darn about you but want royalties on drugs for problems. So that'll never happen unless we return ourselves to a constitutional republic and stop this permanent deep state that we have in our government. So I'm going to say no, because I've been around this since I grew up with my dad in food research and around vitamin shops and chemistry and healthcare all my life. So I would say 60 years I've been around this. I'm going to start my 71st year now. So I'm going to say glutathione is one of the very valuable antioxidants in the human body, but is it more valuable than, say, coenzyme Q10? Is it more valuable than vitamin E? Is it more valuable than vitamin C? Is it more valuable than some of the colorful plant things, the anthocyanidins and polyphenols like that? No, we don't have the answer to that. So I take Juice Plus. I take it without the sugar in it. I take the powdered concentrate of the berry fruit and vegetable. I don't get any of the starches from it. And I get all the benefits of those antioxidants. I take a precursor to glutathione called N-acetylcysteine. And I use that 500 milligrams twice a day. And then I try to do my chelation on a maintenance level. Now I only do it once a month at best. So I'm not going to say there isn't any better value to do taking it with the event of getting an infusion of chelation therapy. No. How can I say that there's no studies? Let's see. Nicole says, what are the benefits of taking progesterone for those diagnosed with PMDD, which is premenstrual depressive disease or something like that? Premenstrual disease, depression, something like that. It's the mood affect of PMS. What are the side effects? Any supplements recommended for PMDD sufferers? I would definitely take progesterone because stress makes cortisol. cortisol suppresses follicle stimulating and luteinizing hormone cycling for your ovulation, so you don't get progesterone. So then you become estrogen dominant, and estrogen dominance has problems of fibroids, polycystic ovarian, and polyps, and irregular cycles, mood swings in and of itself. And then those mood swings are associated typically with a high carbohydrate for dopamine, momentary gratification through your mouth of oral sugar stimulating you that leads to insulin and polycystic ovaries. So it's a world of evil companions and behaviors. So take progesterone that's what I normally tell anyone with premenstrual depressive disorder, and I ask her to use it day 15 through 25 of her cycle. That's just 10 days, and do it faithfully. And then I ask her to try and stay away from so many carbs and starches. I ask them to stay away from eating late at night. I ask them all to exercise, walk, and alternate the next day with weight training, and the next day walk, and the next day weight training. And then I ask them to drink, 64 ounces of water. I'm asking almost everyone now to go out in the sunshine in the morning at dawn with the sunrise and take your shoes off and get your feet into that wet grass on the soil and let yourself get grounded, which helps with mood. The infrared light into the eyes helps with circadian rhythm and sleep. It energizes. The infrared goes right through your body and your skull. It helps the brain, everything. I'm looking into what is called structured water. If you look up Dr. Gerald Pollack, Pollack, PhD, water, electricity, and the cells, something like that, I think is the title. Now, he has many, but I think that water, electricity, and the cells is the most fantastic and well cartoonized kind of for him to explain to you of just how beneficial this is. So that's how I would do it. And I would take enzymes. Ovulation, premenstrual, is usually that ovulation where you're trying to ovulate and rupture out of from the egg, the corpus luteum, to make the progesterone, and it doesn't happen, and there's a discord there, maybe the cortisol stress, and it's an inflammatory time, and that inflammation creates more mood swings, more cortisol, and it's a vicious circle, and more food cravings, more inactivity, more fear-based behavior. And so sunlight, exercise, water, progesterone day 15, whereas day 1 is the first day of your menstrual cycle. So 15 days after you start menstruating, you take the progesterone at night to help you get a good night's sleep for about 200 milligrams, 100 milligrams. And then that should really help you. But the enzymes, if you take it also, you'll have less inflammation. So we take enzymes on an empty stomach for this, 3 to 5 on an empty stomach, morning and evening, and you'll see everything lift. It always works. I've never seen it fail, really. And then the next person asked, Krista, I would like to have daily maintenance of vitamins and minerals to stay healthy. And that's wise, because with all this industrialized farming and all the pesticide, herbicide, and with all the genetic modifications. Now, when I say that, I'm not necessarily always talking about glyphosation or anything like that. They actually take old-fashioned apples and they breed them so they get more plumpy and sweet honey apples and juicy apples, big apples, where most apples were much smaller years ago and more tart. So they're just huge nutritional defeats, and high sugar excess is what we're seeing in much of our food today. So it's smart. I could easily say across the board, a vegetable or fruit today is about 50% of what it was when I was a little girl. So what do I recommend? Well, the things that I've tested. There could be other things. I don't know everything, but I can only go with what I've clinically tested or I've personally published on or I saw in my patients. So that is Juice Plus, vitamin D 10,000, 5 to 10,000 every day with K2. Uh, Taking a multi-mineral that has a good swap. We have TLC multi-minerals. I've tested it. It's Albion. It's amino acid chelated, so it's the best. And it has all the magnesium, selenium, boron, manganese, calcium, all those things that you need in there. One iodine, iodoral, 12.5 milligram tablet a day. And then I'm going to say, if you're a blood type A, digestive enzyme with betaine hydrochloric acid when you eat your food. If you have aches or joints or you're over 45, you probably need systemic enzymes on an empty stomach, morning and or evening, or both. I take them both because I'm so old. So I take Vitalzyme 5 twice a day. We have systemic enzymes called Vascuzyme, which are really pretty equivalent, much cheaper. I helped work with Ortho to develop that. And then we've private labeled it to a thing called systemic enzymes so that we can make it cheaper. So, so that's enzymes, both systemic and digestive, the D, the iodine, the minerals, and the antioxidants. And that should be enough. Now, I would argue we're so stressed, maybe extra methylated B complex is a very smart thing to also use. Methylated B complex. And that'll take care of all the, I think 30% of people have methotetrahydrofolate deficiencies, and that'd solve that problem right there. That's what I would take. What brand type of vitamin C do you recommend? Julie asks. I keep it on at home I keep it at hand at my home. So if she's coming down with a cold, well, I can only again recommend what I've tested. And a lot of this comes from corrupted fields and from China, the vitamin C. So I won't use that. So I use orthomolecular. I know the owners. I know the people. I know they have the same biblical worldview that I do. And so what I've gone there and I've looked at their vats and their sample sizes and sourcing. They're not using those bad sources. And I use the orthomolecular's vitamin C, buffered vitamin C capsules, 750 milligrams. And I take one every half hour if I'm coming down with a cold or if I feel like I'm getting constipated. Lynn says, hello, Dr. Rita. What are your thoughts on possible health issues arising from the batteries in the Tesla cars? Should there be any precautions taken? Yes. If you take a electromagnetic frequency surveillance and you bring it to Tesla cars, you're going to see that's not a place to be putting your children or young developing pregnant moms sitting near those batteries, especially in the back seat. So yeah, that's something I just would be very, very careful about. Those should be cars only for old people, in my opinion. And then I don't like the electric cars because it takes so much energy and slave labor from these communist collectivist societies where all the people are equally poor. That's what socialism really is all about, getting everyone equally poor and starving. And then you're forced in these labor camps to dig up these rare earth minerals, and they abuse the little children. And you're using all these big heavy engine equipment to do the blasting and the moving. And so you're using all this oil-based engines and then to make a battery. It's ridiculous. So I'm not in favor of electric cars. All right, Lynn. Oh, we did that. That was the Tesla car. Susan, do you have any questions for naturally resolving recurring urinary tract infections? I am postmenopausal. I've had 4 infections this year. I've tried all the different types of antibiotics, but believe I have a resistant strain. I'm currently taking a lemon, ginger, garlic, honey, apple cider vinegar, cayenne concoction every 2 hours. Well, I think hormone replacement is very important because if your urethra, like this paper right here, if your urethra is thin and you're urinating down this thin tube, okay, right in here, and you're only this thick in the lining, then it's not going to shut well, and you're going to get easier ability to tear it and get patulous down there when you're wiping and stuff, especially cross contamination from potential fecal material. And hormones help thicken it up so that, what could I use as an example? If we have tissue that's thicker, imagine this tissue here is rolled over like this, and it's much thicker. It's hard to see into the hole there, so you're making the tube much thicker, and so when you crunch down like a Kegel exercise, you can pinch it off, and it'd be much harder to have bacteria crawl up to your bladder area. So hormones are very helpful in the thickness of the lining of the vaginal and urethral region to avoid unnecessary accidental cross-contamination up there. So that would be one. Number two, stay well hydrated. I'm going to direct you to look up Dr. Gerald Pollack, Electric Water Cells and Life. Watch that YouTube video about structured water and how it'll give you energy and the cells and your immune system, especially. A low carb diet, I would go carnivore or very strict keto. You could use cranberry extract routinely. You could use D-mannose. This is a type of sugar that you can take and drink that goes into the urinary tract system and lines the lining of the bladder. And then infrared light, that grounding where you get the red light, that's very helpful for the immune system. And get your vitamin D level up, get your zinc level up. Those are the directions I would head, Lynn. And then the last two we have are, V says, now that I'm in my late 60s, my forearm skin is super thin and always bruises and is flaky. Do you have any cure for this? What causes this besides hormones? I can't take hormones because of a history of breast cancer. Thank you. Well, V, I have many women who have had breast cancer and they are on hormones. I don't ascribe to the fact that hormones are causative of cancer. I disagree with that. So number two, collagen, eating a rich protein diet to give structure for healthy fats to your skin and to help yourself have that elastin collagen, which also hormones will help with. The other thing is being adequately hydrated and then doing weight training exercises. That's what I would recommend. Art says, what is your opinion on men or women taking Nioxin to reduce hair loss and promote hair growth? Nioxin. Nioxin is minoxidil topical, and it's fine. Minoxidil, Rogaine, finasteride, these are all items that topical. Well, finasteride is oral, and a lot of people complain of side effects with that. But the topical minoxidil seems to help promote hair loss, and it shortens the quiescent phase of the hair follicle, so it's more aggressively active. But chelation helps it, eating a healthy protein diet because your hair is made of protein, being well hydrated, all these things would be very beneficial. And Dawn says, will you provide some education on the risks and precautions for donating plasma? My friend is selling her plasma and I worry she's overdoing it. Well, plasma is like a extender, blood volume extender. It doesn't have the red blood cells in it. So plasma is 90% water and maybe 10% protein and other things in it. And it's got that straw-colored liquid when you cut yourself and you see a bead of straw-colored liquid. And it's 90% water, so you can replace that. I think the regulations, I don't recall off the top of my head, but once or twice a week is the typical limit for doing plasma donations. So if the person's healthy and they're drinking adequate water and eating a rich protein diet, I don't see a problem with that. That's my personal experience, but that's just off the top of my head over the past 43 years. Let's see if we have any new comments here. It says, Rosa said, what is a B1 protect powder used for? Oh, SBI, serum bovine immunoglobulin, serum bovine immunoglobulin. And that has the colostrum IgA antibody. IgA is the very one first antibody your saliva mixes in with whatever you eat, and it's a generalized antibody to bad things. And so that's what it's used for. All right, and Witzlock says, hello, dear Dr. Rita. Please discuss the benefit of the Vortex water and the wand that you use. At this point, are you recommending it as a valuable tool to add to our health regimens? I am. And so I have the Anna Lemma wand right here, and see that drip of water here. Just it takes a long time to drip off because it's more viscous. So all the water in this crystal, this is crystal here, this is pure structured water in here, and it takes a year to make it. This crystal will last a lifetime if you don't break it. The wand costs $170. It's ANALEMMA-water.com. So that's where you can order it. I don't make anything on it. You can look that up and look at all the studies about the brain wave, about the energy. We are batteries. We are electrochemical beings. The membranes on the inside and the outside of the cell, the surfaces, attract the water molecules. And these water molecules orient themselves into a nice structure instead of randomness. The positive is separated from the negative in the water, and it creates a electrical energy gradient. You need to have a good gradient over your cell membranes for cellular health for every cell in your body. So when you help your water that you drink be more structured, it will quickly, instantaneously be absorbed and snuggle up through your membranes, enhance the energy potential and then the function of that cell. And that equates to better mental health, better stamina, better sleep. Everything metabolically is improved with that. So the most important thing is the Analemma wand, and putting that in a glass of water. Hopefully you filter it, and then hopefully you, I have my glass of water here with my wand in it. Then I have my straw where I just drink my water out of it. Now I use Mayu Swirl, MAYU.com. Mayu Swirl creates my vortex. See that vortex in there like that? And that swirls the water to enhance the saturation with oxygen and gets it in a kind of pre-structured form. So you don't have to have that, but I like it, and I pour it into then my glass jar here, in which I have my wand all the time. And so I am clearly 20-25% better in my energy now. I almost feel like I have the energy of my 50s, 45s. So with that, my friends, it's 5 after, so I got to end. I got to work out now and move some heavy weight. Okay, so God bless. I'll see you in a week, next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Take care and help one another. Be your brother's helper, and like and subscribe if this helps you. All right, bye-bye.